Hey guys, thank you for tuning in. This is the last best take. Today's episode, I was going to be doing my mock draft 3.0. This episode, I think I'm just going to do if I were the GMs of the team. So go ahead in the comments. If I pick a player you don't think fits your team, go ahead and rip me a new one. But make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and if share this with a friend, maybe. All right, I'm just going to jump into it. Obviously, I think it's pretty obvious that let me just get this draft started. I think it's pretty obvious that whoa, what did I do? Whoopsies. Mendoza is going to be the number one pick. Um, he's going to be the QB for the Raiders of the future. He'll sit behind Kirk Cousins for a few games, maybe the whole year. We'll see how fast he develops. He's an accurate 6'5", Heisman winner with exceptional ball placement. So I think he will develop pretty quickly. So I could see him coming in after maybe 5 or 6 games and just taking over the job. Um, I don't think we really need to spend too much time on that pick. I think it's kind of consensus now. Uh, with the Jets, I'm going to give him Marvell Reese. The reason for that is because he is a high instinct chess piece. He can play off ball or rush off the edge. So basically, I think he might be one of the safest players in the draft because if he fails at the edge position, where I think they're going to start him because they need some pass rush, especially after trading Jeremiah Johnson. But if he doesn't quite live up to the bill there, they can just move him back to linebacker, and he will be an elite linebacker. Yeah, so that's where I'm going to go with the Jets. With the Cardinals, this one's going to be a little different. Typically, I think if I were the Cardinals, I would want to trade back right here, but I'm not going to do that in today's episode. I'm going to do just go through all the teams, all the picks. Um, if I were the Cardinals, I would give them uh, defensive end David Bailey. The reason for that is they drafted Darius Robinson, 2 or 3 years ago, I believe, and he has yet to really be productive. So I know they have Josh Sweat on one side, but I think they need to address the other side. And uh, I did like Walter Nolan, their pick last year. So giving them a young defensive end to play with Walter Nolan on that defense, they have a pretty good young core of players on the defensive side of the ball. So adding this guy would actually, in my opinion, be the right decision. I don't think they're going to go that route. However, I do think they'll probably try to trade down. I've heard rumors of the Cowboys wanting to trade up, but they'll probably trade down however far and get one of the tackles because I think they're going to want to get either Ty Simpson later in this draft, maybe second round, or uh, maybe just wait on a QB till next year. But I do think they want to build that offensive line up. So I think that's probably where they'll go. Uh, with the Tennessee Titans, honestly, I could see them possibly going Ruben Bain. I'm not, but being that they spent so much money in free agency this year, I just can't see them doing that. I would possibly do that, but then you look on the other side of the ball, they don't have anybody over there. Calvin Ridley's their number one wide receiver. Those running backs they have, Tajay Spears, they were played okay last year, but you could definitely upgrade. And Jeremiah Love, uh, he has elite 4.36 speed. Uh, I kind of think he's kind of like a Christian McCaffrey as far as a dual threat ability as a runner and a receiver. And I don't think some of the media guys have really addressed how good of a receiver he is. He can line out slot and make plays out there. So and I that hasn't really been talked about that much. And obviously at the combine he would tore it up. So I'm going to give him a good young running back to help their QB. Um, yeah, that's where I'm going to go with that. I think they need to get some more playmakers to help out their QB, and this is the best guy in the draft, in my opinion. Um, New York Giants. So, um, I could definitely see John Harbaugh wanting to get somebody like Caleb Downs or another linebacker in there like Sonny Styles. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give him Carnell Tate. Um, the reason being, they have Malik Neighbors, but who else do they have? You know what I mean? I could see Malik Neighbors and Carnell Tate kind of being like the receivers at Cincinnati, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Carnell Tate's going to be a really good number two wide receiver like T. Higgins is. I'm not sure they would be great number one wide receivers, but Malik Neighbors and Jamar Chase are number ones. So I think that would give Jackson Dart some pretty good weapons to play with. That's I think they've got a really good defense there in New York, anyways. They could upgrade the safety and the linebackers. I think that was probably their weak spots on that defense. But that defensive line, as long as they don't trade Dexter Lawrence, they're going to be really good. And Carnell Tate, he's a precise route runner. He has really reliable hands, and he would be an immediate vertical threat, which would help that team altogether. Um, yeah, that's so I'm going to give him Carnell Tate, give Jackson Dart some really good wide receivers. He will have some really good weapons this year if they did this because they did get Isaiah Likely in free agency also. So they would have a really young core of playmakers out there with Scattaboo also. Yeah, I think that would be pretty damn good, honestly. Um, Cleveland. So this is where, uh, honestly, I'm gonna give him Ruben Bain. Uh, can you imagine Ruben Bain and Miles Garrett on the edges? That defense is already really freaking good. Giving him Ruben Bain would be, I think, would put it over the top. I don't know how it gets better, but with Ruben Bain, I think it does. I He's a disruptive junkyard dog. He's relentless. He has a relentless motor, and he has dominant power. So having that opposite of Miles Garrett, those two would wreck shop, and I would feel sorry for all of the QBs that they play against. Um, I know they need some weapons on offense, so I could definitely see them going that route. But like I said, this is my draft, what I would do. Plus, I've heard that, there's been talks of them possibly trading Miles Garrett. So why not, if you're going to trade him, get his replacement? I wouldn't want to do that if I were the Browns, but I would want to just add another guy on the opposite end of Miles Garrett and just wreck people's QBs. That would be pretty fun. If nothing else, it'd be fun to watch. They still might not win very many games with Shador or Watson, but it would be fun to watch, that's for sure. Um, so my next pick, I Washington. I'm gonna give them. Hmm, I did. They did. I do like some of the guys they picked up in free agency. I think they need a defensive leader on there, so I'm gonna give them Caleb Downs. He's one of the best defensive players in all of this draft. Um, he's versatile. He's an extension of the defensive coordinator, which I think they'll like. He has elite diagnostic skills and a very high motor. So these are the type of guys you want to build around, add to a defense. Um, I think that would he would improve that defense day one. They did, like I said, I liked some of the guys they drafted or not drafted, brought in free agency, but I don't think they've got their leader on that defense yet, unless they bring back Bobby Wagner, which they could. Um, this guy is going to be elite starter week one. So I would grab him. The New Orleans Saints. I'm going to give them, honestly, I think I'm going to give them Makai Lemon. Uh, Chris Olave has been banged up with concussions quite a bit. And yeah, last year he stayed relatively healthy. However, they even if he stays healthy, they're going to need somebody else on that offense. And Kellen Moore is a offensive minded head coach. So I think getting them somebody that I think would primarily play the slot position would match up really well with Chris Olave, who plays the X position. This would make for a pretty dynamic wide receiver core there. Um, yeah, I give Tyler Shuck some pretty good weapons. Uh, I do like their offensive line. They've rebuilt that offensive line the last few years. So, uh, yeah, I think their offense could be much improved. Alvin Kamara might be able to do something in fantasy football this year if they had some wide receivers. So that's where I'm going to go. Um, if I'm the Kansas City Chiefs, they do not have. I'm going to give a Mansoor Delane. Um, Let me go back to Makai Lemon real quick. He's a fierce competitor in the slot. He has elite production at USC, so that's another reason why I would think that would be pretty good for that offense. As far as Mansour Delane, let me see what I pull up. Got his notes for him. He's the best corner in the draft, in my opinion. Um, he's a consistent alpha. He's a competitor. He has elite technician in both man and zone. The Chiefs, they traded away their best Trent McDuffie, their best corner, and the Rams signed the other corner. So they need a corner. I think they do like some of the guys they have in the room right now. However, I think Mansoor Delane would go in there and be a week one starter. In a room that kind of needs it. Another player I could see that I would possibly give him is Kenyon Sadiq, but being that Travis Kelce signed a 3-year deal, um, I I don't think they need to address that right now. So I'm going to give them the best corner because I think they need a corner. They're rebuilding that secondary right now, and I'm going to give them the best one in my opinion. The Cincinnati Bengals. This kind of fell into their lap. I'm going to give them Sonny Styles. They traded away their linebacker last year to the Cowboys. I'm having a hard time remembering his name. The Cowboys just cut him, but they traded away They're pretty much their only good linebacker last year. I mean, they drafted a guy last year who actually played pretty well. Sonny Styles is different. Uh, he would command the middle of that defense, sideline to sideline speed. He's a former safety, so that obviously shows with his 4.46 40 that he ran at the combine. He was the superhuman at the combine, the underwear Olympics. Anybody who watched it knows who Sonny Styles is, even if you didn't know him, which if you obviously didn't watch college football if you don't know him, but he really balled out at the combine. So yeah, I'm gonna give the Bengals their linebacker. Hope they pretty much need anything on defense because that defense was terrible. Um, like I said in the one of the previous videos, I think that offense was averaging 35 points or something last year, and they were still losing. So like that tells you how bad that defense. They really need Shamar Stewart to develop. Um, as I could see him going a defensive end, but all the guys are gone right now. So I'm gonna give him Sonny Styles, one of the true blue chips in this draft. Miami Dolphins. They literally could go anywhere. Um, but I know there was a rumor that some of the NFL teams have red flagged Jermod McCoy because of his knee ACL injury. I think I saw that some of the NFL teams red flagged him because they think it's a degenerate knee injury or something. But the Miami Dolphins, their coach is a defensive minded coach. Uh, they released their anyone that was good on that team is no longer on that team except for Devon Achane. Um, that secondary was rough last year. I think their best player was Storm Duck. Um, he's still on the team, but like I think that coach is going to want to rebuild that defense at first. So I'm going to give him Jermod McCoy, even though I've the knee injury. He ran a 4.38, however, at his pro day and jumped 38 inches. So his knee obviously isn't that bad. Um, Let me see what I got for notes on him real quick. He's a true ball hawking uh, defensive back. If he did not tear his ACL this year, he would have been a top five pick with ease this year. Um, but like I said, he's been red flagged apparently from the combine, but I don't think he's really going to fall out that bad. He's really good, and the Dolphins need to rebuild that secondary. So I think that's where they're going to go. Dallas. Where do I go with Dallas? Um, all these guys are offensive players. You know what? I'm going to give them Avion Terrell. They do need a corner. Um, they released Diggs last year, Trayvon Diggs, and they've yet to sign anybody to replace him. And the guy that was getting all the interceptions 2 or 3 years ago has digressed pretty significantly. So I'm going to give him the next best corner. I know I saw something about an injury with him also that happened at the combine. I can't remember if it was a hamstring or what, but he was really productive in college. Where is he on my notes? Uh, Let me see what. Yeah, the Cowboys. Their front seven is pretty good, but like that back seven needs to be improved. I could also see him maybe going like safety, maybe going after Dylan Thieneman here, maybe going after a defensive end. But I'm gonna address the corner first. Like I said, he Terrell is very disruptive. He forced 5 fumbles last year. He has really fluid hips, so he's able to open up. Uh, People have described it to be butterfly hips because he's can stay connected to the wide receivers when he opens up. He's very versatile. Even though he's a smaller guy, he'll come up and hit you. He also had pass breakups last year, and 3 sacks. So, like I said, he's a playmaker, and I think Dallas needs that. The LA Rams. Um, if I was the LA Rams, if I was the LA Rams, we want to do a win now move. So the only way you win now, because that team is probably the best team on paper right now. However, um, they do have the Puka Nakua crap going on with him in rehab, so I don't know if there's going to be any lawsuits or jail time for what for biting that girl. Um, so I'm going to give him either Kenyon Sadiq or Jordan Tyson. Um, which one do I want to get? Rams ran a lot of 12 personnel, so they used a lot of tight ends. They don't have anybody really like Kenyon Sadiq, but honestly, I'm going to give them Jordan Tyson just because of the uncertainty of Puka Nakua. I don't know if he's going to get in trouble with the league for his actions. He's kind of been doing stupid stuff off the field, so hopefully him going to rehab, he cleaned some of that crap up. Anyways, they need to probably get a receiver anyways because Devontae Adams lives long in the tooth, and he may. I've heard rumors that they might try. They've been trying to potentially trade Devontae Adams. So, and then that rumor that they might trade for AJ Brown if they. I don't know. We'll see. Let's just get them a weapon so they don't even have to do that. This player will play right away if he's healthy. Um, and that's what they're going to want to do because they're in a win now window with Matthew Stafford. They got to keep that open as long as they have him. Um, I mean, I we'll see. The Baltimore Ravens. Honestly, I think I'm looking at Vega Ione. That makes the most sense. But what about Kenyon Sadiq? They lost Isaiah Likely. Uh, I know they signed Mark Andrews to a 3-year deal, but he's kind of old and washed, to be honest with you. I'm going to give him Kenyon Sadiq. Lamar Jackson likes tight ends, throwing to the tight end position. This guy honestly does what Baltimore Raven tight ends do. He can block a little bit. He actually blocks pretty well, and he's a hell of an athlete. I mean, he ran a 4.3 40, which was the fastest ever by a tight end. So giving Lamar Jackson an elite weapon like this at a position that he loves to throw the ball to, I think would actually be pretty damn smart. I know that offensive line was pretty brutal, but they did bring back John Simpson, the right guard, to replace that guy who was terrible that the Giants thought was a good idea to sign. But I'm going to give him Kenyon Sadiq. I think that'd be pretty fun. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Um, I could. There's a lot of good players here. Um, I want to go defensive end, so I'll just go to the edge position. Um, I think I'm gonna give him Keldrick Falk. He's a young guy. Let me see if I got notes on that guy. He's younger. They need a defensive end. That pass rush was terrible. He's versatile, so he's kind of like he's been described, comped as a Mikael Williams, who the 49ers drafted last year because he can set the edge in the run game and then he could slide inside to rush on third down. So yeah, like he's a versatile defensive lineman with massive length. So he looks the part. He has high character. He's and he's like I said, I think he's only 20 years old, so he's definitely not uh all the way ready, but being 20 years old, he can develop. He has the NFL body, so getting him in there, I think would be pretty good for that team. They need to fix that pass rush. I think that was their downfall last year. They started off pretty good, um, but then I think they were banged up with injuries pretty bad. So maybe just getting healthy with them also. But I think they need to get a defensive end. They even brought in Jason Pierre-Paul, I think, late in the season to try and help with that. So I'm going to give them. according to this, I'm on stick to the model. Keldrick Falk is the highest edge, so I'm gonna give him that. Okay, so we're back to the Jets. Who did I Oh, we gave him Audrell Reese. So, is there's just offensive linemen here right now. I'm gonna give him Peter Woods. Peter Woods will be the Pete will fill in as Quentin Williams' replacement. Let me see Peter Woods. Sorry, I'm looking up my notes real quick. So yeah, like he'll take the Quentin Williams role. This guy last year, I mean, he had a terrible season this year in Clemson, but that whole team pretty much did. They were describing this guy before the season started as like a top five pick, and there's flashes of it if you watch his tape. He's a really polarizing prospect. Uh, he has elite get off, which I think Quentin Williams kind of had that too. His first step is explosive and obvious is his best trait. He's also versatile, so he can line up inside, outside. Uh, his biggest red flag is his arm length. So I think that's where he struggled this year, where guys would get into him and he couldn't get off of the blocks. So uh, we're just going to swing with the upside with this guy. I mean, they describe him as a top five pick. It's a position I think he would pair up pretty well with Tavondre's was it Tavondre Sweat, the big boy from Texas. Those two next to each other would be pretty damn good. So that's where I'm gonna go for the Jets. The Detroit Lions. I'm gonna give him Caden Proctor because I know there's been rumors of Penei Sewell switching over to the left side. Um, I don't. The guy's been elite on the right side, so why switch him? And I can just see Caden Proctor. He's a big boy. Let me see what he measures out as. I mean, he's one of the true left tackles, and there ain't a whole lot of them. There's two or three true left tackles in this draft. Most of the guys, the higher ranked guys, are right tackles. He's enormous, but this guy's extremely athletic, and he's got kind of nasty, which I think Dan Campbell would actually love. He's 352 pounds. Uh, he has the highest upside of any blocker in the class just because of how big and athletic he is. If he lost maybe 20, like 30 pounds of weight, he could really grow into this body and become an elite tackle. I think getting him in NFL locker room to help learn, especially if he's with Penei Sewell, how to train as a professional athlete. Let Penei Sewell take him under his arm, get that some of that bad weight off of him. This guy could be elite uh, left tackle for these guys, and he has that nasty side that grit, that grit that Dan Campbell loves. Minnesota, the Minnesota Vikings. What are their needs? Safety, corner. Oh, okay. Yep. We're going to go. This is pretty easy. I would give him Dylan Thieneman. This is another guy that had a elite combine. He'll be replacing the guy that just left. I don't know why I can't remember his name. Uh, it's a perfect fit. This guy will take over that spot perfectly. Um, at Purdue, he was single high safety or free safety, so he would cover the back end of the field. But kind of at Oregon, they kind of moved him up, and he played in the box a little more. he come up and hit you. This guy is a playmaker. Uh, he's like he's the fastest rising first rounder because of his combine. He clocked a 4.35 40-yard dash with 41-inch vertical, so he's extremely athletic, elite. He's a proven turnover generator. He had 8 career interceptions, including game sealing overtime pick against Penn State in 2025. Uh, he's a reliable tackler also, despite a leaner 201-pound frame. He is a sure tackler. He led the Big Ten defensive backs in total tackles in 2024. He's versatile, like I said. He could play in the box or he could play back. He acts as an extension to the defensive coordinator, so he's obviously very smart. He called out adjustments pre-snap. Uh, he, he can struggle a little bit in man coverage because of his hip tightness when asked to mirror slots, but he has speed, so he has the makeup speed to make it. Um, yeah, so I think it's a pretty obvious pick for them. Carolina, oh, this one's kind of difficult. So their left tackle, it, Ikeem, I don't even want to try and pronounce his name. Their left tackle is tore his ACL late in the season last year, but they did bring over the Green Bay Packers guy to fill that band-aid that up a bit this year. So I don't think they really need a tackle. Um, Honestly, I'm going to give them the best linebacker. I know they did they bring in a linebacker? Let me check real quick. I think they did bring in a linebacker. Uh, Devin Lloyd. Okay, so yeah, they did bring in a linebacker, so maybe we won't go that route. Man, I like some of the guys they brought in. Maybe we just give maybe we just give a little guy another wide receiver. Um, would they do that though? Like 3 years in a row? I don't think they would do that. Hmm, their offensive line. You know what? They running back, they have pretty good. Corner JC Horn and it's pretty good. They drafted 2 edge players. I'm still going to give them a linebacker, CJ Allen. Um, there was reports him and Devin Lloyd and CJ Allen together would be a pretty dynamic duo. Um, I know at the pro day, the head coach at Georgia was raving about this guy, talking about how hard of a worker he is, how he's the first guy in, last guy out. He specifically said a story about when his kid was doing rehab. And he would get there with his kid to do rehab with the trainers like at 6 o'clock, and CJ Allen was already there, covered in sweat, had been there working. Um, he is super intelligent, being a multi-year starter for Kirby Smart. He was rarely fooled in misdirection. Uh, He's 6'1", 235. He has a dense, powerful frame. He uses elite hand strikes to shed blockers and process possesses rare tackle finishing success. Medical note, he underwent a late season knee procedure in 2025, but still led Georgia in tackles. So that kind of shows how tough this guy is. He has elite gap integrity. He understands leverage and rarely gets washed out in the run game. Explosive striker. He has exceptional blitz timing. Like I said, he's very smart. His where he does lack a little bit is coverage. He has the hip tightness to mirror tight ends, so you don't really want this guy covering. tight ends really, but and he has shorter arms, so that could be partly why. He doesn't really have the closing speed like that Devin Lloyd would have, but that's why I think that this guy would be a good pairing with him. He'd be kind of be like Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman, in my opinion. One guy was a speed guy that was sideline to sideline. I mean, Navarro Bowman could do it too. This guy could do it also, I think. It's just he doesn't have, he's not just not, it, he would use his smarts to benefit. So that's where I'm going to go because the guys on the board, I don't think they would go after. Maybe they go after Casey Concepcion, but uh, they drafted a wide receiver first round last year or the last couple of years. So we're not going to go that route. We're not going to do that to them. Dallas. We gave them a corner. How do I scroll down? There it is. Okay. Um, I'm gonna give them Cassius Howell. We gave him the best corner. Now I'm gonna give him an elite, pretty elite pass rusher. Um, I think that's where they would go. I mean, he's right there in Texas. I'm sure Jerry Jones has seen him. Uh, I've seen lots of mock drafts where Cassius Howell has fallen to my 49ers, and I love it. Uh, but I think that realistically he could go here. Uh, Dallas needs a pass rusher. He he is the most explosive edge rusher in the draft. Uh, he has the elite first step. I mean, he recorded a 1.5 second 10-yard split, which was the fastest of all the edge rushers. The only problem is he's got the short arms, the shortest arms. I think in NFL they've recorded, but I'm gonna go with the upside. This guy is a playmaker. Uh, he has a mature bag of counters, including a deadly inside spin and ghost move. So not only does he have a good, elite first step, he has moves to counter. He's not just a one-trick pony. Uh, he also has that elite bend. So like that first step elite bend, that's what you're looking for as a pass rusher. And he has a high motor. He chases down everything, and he surprisingly can cover a little bit. So if they want to do like an outside linebacker role where he rushes on third down, potentially he could do that. But he's falling down the boards because of his short arms and just how this board falls out with all the players that are there. So I'm going to do that. Give Jerry Jones his pass rusher to replace Micah Parsons. Obviously, he's not the same player as Micah Parsons, but this guy could be very productive. Pittsburgh Steelers, uh, before they traded for before they traded for the receiver from Indy, I was going to give them a wide receiver, but now they need to fix that right guard, so I'm going to give them the best right guard, Vega Ione. Um, I think that's pretty simple. What about Vega? I really like him. He's the top guard in my opinion. Uh, where's the notes I got on him? He's a dominant interior blocker. He allowed 0 sacks last year, so this guy's just good. So they need that's a position of need for them. Um, I could also see them maybe going after Ty Simpson. We haven't heard what Aaron Rodgers is going to do yet. However, I don't know if they want to do that Kenny Pickett type of thing again. It didn't work out for him last time, so I don't think they're going to do it. So I'm going to give him the best offensive lineman or the best guard on the board. It's just kind of crazy that Francis Mauigoa is still here. Um, I got to get rid of Francis Malinoa. But do I go here? I think I'm going to give the Chargers Spencer Fano. He could play guard. He has shorter arms. Um, he has the versatility to play. I think he's played guard, both left tackle and right tackle. So that the Chargers are going to want to fix that offensive line because Justin Herbert got absolutely killed last year. I I think they could go Francis Malinoa. I think I have heard he could play guard too. But I think Spencer Fano would be better for that. He's more technically sound. Uh, Spencer Fanu before the combine stuff was the number one tackle. And then they measured his arms and he's all of a sudden falling off the boards. You know what I mean? Uh, like I said, he's technically sound finisher, versatile across the line with upside. So like he could play tackle with those tackles that get banged up. He could slide there. This is a pretty good chess piece for that offensive line for the Chargers. So that's where I'm going to go. Here's where I'm going to go Francis Malinoa. He'll be the replacement for Lane Johnson whenever he decides to hang it up. He could slide into guard right now if they need him to. Yeah, that just makes sense. He's enormous. 329-pound mauler. He's a potential Pro Bowl caliber right tackle or guard. So like this is why he's the best the best offensive lineman right now. Even ahead of Spencer Fano, according to most scouts, I get or these mock drafts, maybe not the scouts, but these mock drafts, he's the number one guy. I'm gonna get let him go to the. I know the Eagles lost their offensive line coach, but I still think they're gonna be pretty good off on the offensive line. Um, we got the Cleveland Browns second pick this fall, fell pretty perfectly. Who do we give them in the first round? Sorry guys, I had to fix that. We gave them Ruben Bain. I had to switch mock draft simulators because for whatever reason that page did not want me to continue anymore. So we gave him Ruben Bain. So this fits out perfect for the Browns. We're going to give him Monroe Freeling. He's been suggested as the truest left tackle. So there's been lots of talks. He's massive, 6'7" frame with elite bend, quick out of his stance. So that's why he'll probably go higher than this in the real draft just because he's the truest left tackle, has that elite upside. Let's go the Bears. The Bears, what are their needs? Defensive edge rusher, safety. Honestly, I'm gonna give the Bears Caden McDonald. This guy is a wrecker. He'll improve that run defense. Let me see if I got any notes on him real quick. Um, Caden McDonald. Caden. Sorry, I gotta scroll through my. It's easier if I just put their names in. That their defense. I mean, they might go defensive end here. Being that's kind of a need. However, Caden McDonald is elite run stopper. He's arguably the best run stopper in the country or in the draft. He was ranked number one in FBS PFF ranking of a 91.2 in the run defense. Uh, at 326 pounds, he excels as a space eater. So that would free up some of the other guys on the line. He could take on the double teams. Despite his size, he possesses a rare get off, which he with his functional speed, which often jolts blockers backwards into the QB. So, although he's primarily known as a run stopper, he does have that elite first step to where he could develop as a pretty damn good pass rusher. So, I think that's what the Bears would do. The fastest way to get to the quarterback is right up the middle. So I think this would improve it. It would help Montez Sweat a little bit on the outside also, I think. Take some pressure off of him. Um, the Bills. Who do we got here? They need an edge, a receiver, a safety. Honestly, I'm gonna give them Denzel Boston. Uh, I know they did trade. They sent that second round pick to the Bears. Denzel Boston is a true X, however. And he also has the most versatile NFL type routes. Um, what? Oh, sorry. I put in the wrong name on my notes, so it gave me a different player. Um, so yeah, I think they need to go another wide receiver, to be honest with you. This guy's a red zone mismatch, which I think that's kind of what they wanted with the receiver they drafted from Florida State that hasn't really developed. He has elite ball skills. Boston led all the draft eligible receivers in PFF grade against man coverage, largely due to his high pointing of the ball and boxing out of defenders. He has reliable hands with only one drop on 86 targets last year. He's a prototypical X receiver, like I said. He ran a 4.6 40, confirms his lack of elite speed. However, that's not how he wins. He's a pretty good route runner and he's a possession guy. So uh he- these guys the corners could probably stick to him, but he he'll go up and get it. He's been compared to Cortland Sutton and Michael Pittman Jr. So I do think that just getting Josh Allen another weapon would be key. Um, so now we're at the 49ers. 49ers. I want this is you got I want to get a player that's going to contribute right away. So like getting a tackle to sit behind Trent Williams is not going to be great. Um, I'm going to give him Emmanuel McNeil Warren. I think he could start at safety right day one. Uh, and improve it. If I do like edge rusher, but some of these guys are here. I don't think they would go after Max Iantro might be the pick, just so they could sit behind Trent Williams, but I don't want to do that. I want a day one starter, somebody who's going to affect the game right away. I think Emmanuel McNeil Warren can do that. Um, let me see. He's out of Toledo, and Toledo has kind of been DBU lately. Their defensive their defensive coach there knows how to develop develop the guys there. Some of the traits that I like about McNeil Warren, obviously he's a small school guy, so he gets dinged for that. Even though he is versatile, high impact safety, he thrives in a split safety where he's the robber. He's the robber in coverage. Um, he has elite size and length. He's 6'4" with the 32-inch arms, which is really rare, and he could match up really well with tight ends. He has that predator mindset, which is he's aggressive running downhill. He attacks ball carriers with bad intentions and possesses elite stopping power at the point of attack. He did run a 4.52 40-yard dash at the combine, which is plenty fast at his size. Like I said, rare height, length, outlier at the position. He also created a lot of turnovers. He's exceptional at attacking the football, has 9 career forced fumbles, which is a trained habit. Zone coverage, uh, covers vast amounts of grass with long strides and fluid hip transitions. Like I said, he's a true thumper in the run game. He'll come up and hit you with bad intentions, which I love. And I think not only do we need a guy, we have a guy like that, but this guy can also play sideline to sideline. He's got the speed. Um, so yeah, that's where I'm going to go. The Houston Texans. I'm going to just take the high risk on a player. I'm going to give him Caleb Banks. I know he has a foot injury right now, but this guy could potentially be a top 5 player. He has the traits to do it. Um, he's one of the top defensive tackles, obviously. The Texans team overall is set up pretty good as long as Stroud can get his crap together. That defense is pretty dang elite with those pass rushers and those corners. That they do have a need at defensive tackle, and this guy could potentially, with the high upside that he has, could make this defense even better somehow. Um, let me see. He, like I said, he missed significant time with a foot injury. Um, come on, I just want to see. Yeah, so I'm just gonna give him a high upside play. Um, I think he could be pretty good in that defense. If he reaches his full potential, that defense would be scary, scary good. The Kansas City Chiefs. I already gave him a corner. Um, see, I could go Caleb Banks if he was there. I'm gonna give him. I don't think they go. I'm gonna give him TJ Parker. They need another defensive end. Um, someone that's gonna have to take. Uh, I think it's a need. TJ Parker. He's another guy. What like I said, the Clemson boys. These guys were projected pretty high. Um, but like they had a rough season, and it was the whole team. Uh, I backed out of my notes, so um, like I said, Parker, he's considered a high floor prospect who excels as a power and technician edge setter. Uh, while his production dipped in 2025, he had 11 sacks in 2024. He has elite power and hands, violent hands when striking. Run defense, he was one of the best run defenders at the edge in the class. He has comfort dropping in zone coverage. So yeah, I'm just gonna give him a pass rusher because I think they could use it to maybe fill Chris Jones's spot in when he decides to hang him up. Miami Dolphins, I'm going to give them a wide receiver because they've got rid of all of their wide receivers, and I don't think Omar Cooper is going to be solid. Um, he he may not be have elite stuff, but he's good at everything. Honestly, he's a standout receiver, obviously with the national champion Indiana Hoosiers. Uh, he's regarded as a yak guy, yards after the catch. Um, Scouts frequently compare him to a physical running back like Debo Samuel, or DJ Moore. Uh, he forced 27 missed tackles in 25 and averaged an elite 7.2 yards after the catch. He has exceptional body control It's pretty evident in that game. I think it was against Oregon or Penn State, where he jumped up in the back of the end zone and made that toe tap touchdown catch. Uh, yeah, so he's athletic. He clocked a 4.42 40-yard dash with a 37-inch vertical jump. He's 6 foot, 201 pounds. He uses his frame to absorb contact and work through press coverage. He does need some route running. He does need to polish his route running. However, like I said, this guy's going to be a good NFL player. He might not be elite, but he's going to be solid. And the Dolphins need anything, to be honest with you. They could there's any draft any position up here. So now we're at 31 with the Patriots. Um, the Patriots. I'm gonna give them Casey Concepcion. They don't really have a number one wide receiver. I don't think Casey Concepcion is that, but they need to add some weapons to help out Drake May. Um, they don't really have much there, and I know there's reports of them trading for AJ Brown, but we'll see if that actually comes true. Um, Casey Concepcion is a dynamic player, wide receiver. He's kind of been described as the human joystick. He's established himself as a premier run after the catch guy. He won the Paul Warnig Award as the nation's most versatile player. He's currently projected to go in about right here. He stands at 5'11", 196 pounds, so he's not very big. Possesses elite short area quickness and instant acceleration, allowing him to reach top speed nearly off the line. Um, he has the elite separation, uses sharp breaks and crafty footwork to toast defenders. Like I said, he's a nightmare to tackle in the open space. He is a savvy route runner. While his hands show strong, consistent, contested catch, he struggles to focus and has dropped quite a few drops. But this could be a Swiss Army knife type of player in this offense. Some of the players he's been compared, some of the comps, Julian Edelman. Doesn't that fit a Patriots player? I mean, Julian Edelman, Emmanuel Sanders, Zay Flowers, those are the type of guys they said he's like due to his toughness, size, and versatility. So I could definitely see the Patriots bringing in this guy and letting him be their Julian Edelman. Um, all right, let's go with the Seattle Seahawks. Honestly, I think being that I'm going to give them the second best running back. They need a running back. Their running back's hurt. So I'm going to give them Jadarian Price. Um, Jadarian Price. Let me look at the notes I have on him real quick. Scouting report. Yeah, they lost the K9 to the Chiefs in free agency, and Charbonnet is currently hurt. And the only player they signed was that Emmanuel Wilson from the Packers, who's not an every down back. Jadarian Price could be that. He's been compared to Tony Pollard and Aaron Jones. He's regarded as a high floor tempo driven running back. Scouts praise his elite vision and instinctive running style. Through the draft ceiling, he may be capped as a workhorse. Uh, like I said, he has great vision. He has the kick return value, which they don't need really because they have uh, the wide receiver that we don't need to talk about. Um, he has great contact balance. So he has that nasty physicality that I kind of reminds me a little bit of Marshawn Lynch. So I do see that I could see that. He ran a 4.49, 35-inch vertical. Yeah, they need a running back. If they wait to the second round, they are not going to get him. So they might have to reach. I do think this is a spot where they trade out because the Seahawks like to trade out of the first round. It's kind of their thing. So I do think they could trade out here. But I'm going to give them a running back because I think that's their biggest need right now. Um, yeah, that's where I'm going to go with that. If you guys made it this far, thank you so much. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. We're going to be having we're making a video tomorrow night where we break down the last conference of the AFC and NFC South divisions. It's our last one. We've done the previous one, so if you want to go back and watch those, make sure you do. We break down all the free agents, signings, and things they've just done in the offseason, news and rumors for all the teams. Go watch those videos, like them, share them, subscribe. Thanks again, guys, and have a good night.